All right, let's jump right into this explainer of Session 17. We're looking at a wildly tense chapter where a high-stakes escort mission basically turns into a total powder keg, one that comes this close to completely tearing our adventuring party apart. The session is called Blood on the Dance Card, and it is literally a masterclass in what happens when ironclad legal contracts violently crash head-on into uncompromising moral codes.
I will not stand by while a surrendered prisoner is killed. That striking declaration from Cirrus, that perfectly sets the stage for what we're digging into today. It forces us to ask, what actually happens when a party's unwavering moral compass collides with the devil's binding contract? We usually think the biggest threat to a group is the terrifying monsters they face, right? But as we're about to see, the real danger might actually just be their own internal chemistry. So for this explainer, we'll be looking at a vampiric transformation, an alleyway ambush, morals versus contracts, a tense de-escalation, and finally, blood and bare feet. Let's kick things off with Section 1, a vampiric transformation. So, the physical stakes of the dark ritual Lady Violet performed to cure Valessa's infernal parasite are just staggering. If you remember, Valessa had that awful, hellish centipede literally squirming in her gut. To cure it, they had to use an ancient dark ritual. And the cost? Well, Valessa's beautifully crafted silver mechanical limbs are just gone, completely replaced by living flesh and bone. But the real kicker is that the price of this cure left her reborn with vivid red eyes and this subtle, yet totally undeniable thirst for blood. Basically, the hunger of a dhampir. Now, the payment for this ritual was that the party has to act as discreet bodyguards for Lady Violet at the super elite high society gala at the Silver Shield Manor. But before the real danger hits, we get a glimpse into the group's lighter dynamic. Their young magical wards, Nyson, Rusora, and Kyla, actually try to crash the party by shapeshifting into perfect replicas of Valessa and Ceres. The group, of course, firmly redirects them back to their necromancy lessons. Meanwhile, Valessa decides to make the highly questionable fashion choice of attending this fancy gala completely barefoot. And get this, she tries to excuse it to her very skeptical party by claiming she's wearing magical foot pads. It's such a hilarious, totally relatable moment of levity before everything just hits the fan. All right, moving into Section 2, Alleyway Ambush. Let's step into the foggy streets of the high city. So they're escorting Lady Violet, and the tension just snaps. The ambush unfolds with blinding speed. First, Von Frieder's sharp, tabaxi ears catch the clatter of roof tiles. Then, Sarah spots a shadow moving above. Next thing you know, Valessa is flexing her terrifying new dhampir abilities, literally walking straight up the vertical brick wall of an alley to confront a sniper. The attackers turn out to be Gur monster hunters, led by Surya Red Knife Galador. Surya steps right out of the shadows to confront Violet, declaring this intense blood vendetta over the death of her brother at the hands of Khazad Sar, seeing Violet as his living legacy. Now, the most crucial and, frankly, hilarious point here is how the combat actually kicks off. Surya is right in the middle of this dramatic villain monologue, passionately explaining how the Gur's mandate totally supersedes the local laws of Baldur's Gate. But Cian Tal, who literally works a day job in the city's civil works office and acts as a strict legal notary, has absolutely zero patience for this. Completely bypassing the speech, Cian Tal just impatiently ignites a brutal skirmish across the alleyways and rooftops by blasting Surya right in the face with eldritch energy. It's such a wildly funny, defining character moment. Which brings us to Section 3, Morals versus Contracts. This is where things really break down. The fight itself is incredibly brutal. Vagnarfrieder raging across rooftops, Valessa war dancing. But the real conflict is what happens after. In a matter of seconds, the party just completely fractures. Surya realizes she's totally outmatched, drops her glaive, and yields. Boom. The fight should be over, right? But Lady Violet, being the ruthless predator she is, completely ignores the surrender, grapples Surya, and violently bites her neck. Now remember that opening quote? Ceres made a promise. So in retaliation for this execution, Ceres immediately turns her blade on their employer, hitting Lady Violet with a divine smite. Seeing their client attacked, Santil instantly turns their magic on Ceres. In mere seconds, they've turned their weapons on their employer, and then straight on each other. It's absolute chaos. At the very core of this clash is a fundamental ideological collision. We aren't just looking at a random squabble here. On one side, you have Ceres's uncompromising sacred moral compass. As an oathbound paladin from Kalimshan, executing a surrendered prisoner is, to her, an unforgivable evil, no exceptions. On the other side, you've got Santil's strict, unyielding adherence to civil and legal obligation. Remember, Santil literally notarized the contract with Lady Violet. So to Santil, Violet acted in legal self-defense, and Ceres is the one breaking a binding contract. It brilliantly illustrates how two characters, both believing they are absolutely right, can instantly become enemies. Let's look at Section 4, a tense de-escalation, and see how they try to put the pieces back together. I really want you to just picture this impossible standoff. You have Cirrus, who is literally taken to the sky, hovering 90 feet in the air with her magical cape. Then you have Lady Violet bleeding from a paladin's smite, Spider climbing up an alley wall and hissing from a rooftop. And right in the middle, a dead Gur hunter bleeding out on the cobblestones. How do you even begin to fix that? It requires a shockingly pragmatic solution to keep the party from permanently falling apart. Well, Santal proves that the group's chemistry, as fragile as it is highly adaptable. In a stunningly pragmatic move, Santal simply walks over to the dead Gur hunter and casts Revivify. They literally undo Syria's death mid-conflict. It's an absolute masterstroke of de-escalation. By bringing the hunter back to life, Santal effectively just resurrects the problem away. Sirius's moral outrage is mitigated because the victim is alive again, and Santal's contract remains intact because the client is safe. Kinda genius, honestly. Through some incredibly tense negotiation, they managed to patch together a fragile ceasefire. The revived Syria is quickly bound with rope. But get this, Lady Violet refuses to come down off the roof until she gets a verbal amendment to their legal contract. She explicitly demands assurance that she will be protected from Cirrus. Let that sink in for a second. The client needs protection from her own bodyguard. Eventually, the City Watch wanders by and Violet smoothly lies, claiming her noble bodyguards repelled an unprovoked assassination attempt. The Watch hauls Syria away, and our bloody, battered, and deeply suspicious group continues on to the gala. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Blood and Bare Feet. Now we're at the Silver Shield Manor, and simultaneously across the ballroom, all these diverse, high-stakes encounters start unfolding. It just proves that high society holds just as many dark secrets as the alleyways. Wagnefrieder is totally out of her element and immediately fortifies herself at the buffet table, which, relatable. But Chantal makes a chilling discovery, spotting Lady Alia Dorenbold mingling in the crowd, which should be impossible because the party found Lady Dorenbold's rotting corpse in the sewers days ago. It's a living imposter. Meanwhile, Valessa, our newly minted Dampier, ends up face-to-face with Princess Minthara Bainray of Menzabrazan, navigating this terrifyingly charged conversation where the name of the goddess Ilistri just hangs in the air like a blade. But after all this, the vampiric rituals, the rooftop ambushes, the near-fatal party infighting, the undead imposters, and the literal drow royalty, how does the night actually end? In a hilariously petty conclusion, the group gets completely ousted by the aristocratic Silvershield siblings. Alisara Silvershield dismisses them with absolute contempt, simply stating that Falace's bare feet are an unacceptable affront to the dress code. Seriously. They survived a coordinated assassination, but they could not survive high society fashion standards. So as you reflect on this explainer, you really have to ask yourself, how long can this group survive when their greatest threat might actually just be their own conflicting ideologies? They're out here bound by paper contracts and fragile promises, walking deeper into a city completely teeming with shapeshifters and ancient grudges. What threads are going to unravel next? Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown. Keep your eyes sharp, double-check those legal clauses, and whatever you do, please remember to wear shoes to a patriarch ball. I'll catch you next time.
The chandeliers are burning low, like captive stars in golden chains. The marble shines, the roses know the names behind the pretty stains. A smile is passed from hand to hand, a secret tucked behind a fan. The music bows, the noble stand, and every lie becomes a dance. Step close, my dear, the night is dressed in lace. One whispered word, one kiss against disgrace. There's blood on the dance card, wine on the tongue, velvet on the dagger, and the waltz The wealthy trade in borrowed names. A countess laughs, a young lord twirls, while servants carry ash and flame. Beneath the moonlit window glass, a shadow waits with patient grace. She asks your name as you pass, then drinks the color from your face. Step close, my dear, the floor is slick with chance. No one survives a truly honest dance. There's blood on the dance card, wine on the turn, velvet on the dagger, and the waltz has just begun. There's gold in the laughter, fangs in the dark. Every heart is a scandal at the Silver Shield Ball. Sign your name in candle smoke, seal your vow with red. Every promise softly spoke comes back from the dead. Masks may crack and mirrors see what beauty keeps concealed. Love is just another key, and hunger is revealed. There's blood on the dance card, wine on the tongue, velvet on the dagger, and the waltz has just begun. There's gold in the laughter, fangs in the dark. Every heart is a scandal at the Silver Shield Ball. There's blood on the dance floor, laurels and the throne. A kiss like a secret, a name no one wrote. So bow to the ballroom and pray you don't fall. The night keeps the candle at the Silver Shield Ball. The violins tremble, the candles grow small. The last dance is waiting at the Silver Shield